Where are you, little star?
Where are you?
Oh, rat-a-tat-tat-too. Oh, rat-a-tat-tat-too. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder where you are. Wish I may, wish I might make this wish come true tonight. Search for
Hello, I'm Marie, the host of Vinyl City Broadcasting, your transit express to rock and roll trivia. Did you notice the visual of the bright shining star? The recording Little Star playing in the background, and the comp billboard cover on the wall. Yes, our special guest today is Vito Picone of the Elegance. We're going to be doing the interview across the way in our newly designed VCB Zoom room. But first, I've asked Rico if he could run a video of the Elegance performing at the St. George Theater in Staten Island, New York. A beautiful theater. They will be performing their signature song, Little Star. Rico, could you please run the video?
Where are you, little star? Where are you? Oh, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder where you are. Wish I may, wish I might make this wish come true tonight. Search all over for love, you're the one I'm thinking of. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder where you are. High above the clouds somewhere, send me down along the share.
Classy group in a classy theater. Brings back wonderful memories, doesn't it? Now I need to go next door to start the interview with Vito. Please join me. Okay. Today we're here with Vito Picone of the Elegance. Welcome, Vito.
Well, Marie, thank you so much for asking me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You being a founding member, can you give us a brief synopsis of yourself and the other members in the group today? And are they all Staten Island boys?
Well, it actually started just a little before the Elegance. I was about 14 years old. I was going to public school, and I tried to, I did actually formed a group called the Crescents, and it was myself and two other friends of mine who were trombone players with the band in the public school. We were only in about fourth grade, I think, fifth grade, whatever it was, but when I first got it. And we formed a group called the Crescents. We actually had a recording called Darling Come Back on Club Records. And we then, we started to tour a little bit, Connecticut. I mean, we thought we were going a million miles away. We were going to Connecticut and places like that. But the group broke up after a year. Our manager passed away, and the owner of the record company was the same person. He passed away, and the group disbanded. And then I really wanted to continue, so I went back to the neighborhood and the place where we all used to congregate, which the place was the boardwalk in South Beach in Staten Island, and located a couple of other fellas, and we put together five of us put together a group called the Elegance, and we wound up about a year and a half of auditioning and so on and so forth, and that's when we got the recording contract. And then Little Star was released, and 3 years later, or 2 years, with everything from start to finish. The only remaining member who's still with me is Jimmy Michella. He's still singing with me today, and the other fella who's still with us, while he's still around, is Frankie Tardona. He was the youngest in the group. He's got his problems with his health, but he's still around. We still stay in touch, and we lost two of the fellas within the last 2 or 3 years. We lost Carmen Romano and Artie Venosa. And yes, we were all Staten Islanders and all Italian.
Well, I'm sure glad that you were able to continue singing after the Crescents no longer were a group. So we're all happy about that, and that you're all Staten Island boys too.
Yeah, thank you.
So, can you give us some history on the name The Elegance, how it was chosen?
Funny story. If Dick Clark was still alive, he'd be running for cover. Until the day he passed, he used to tease me about this. We were on American Bandstand, and I'll tell you how we got it first. We were going to rehearsal. We were looking for different names. I was walking past a tavern in the neighborhood, which my best friend's father owned, and in the window of this restaurant, this tavern, which was called the Club Trio, was a placard of Shenley, and it said Shenley, the whiskey of elegance. But of course, it was ELEGANCE.
Oh.
So I transposed it to elegant, and brought it up to the guys. We all loved it. We kept the name. So while we were on American Bandstand, Dick Clark asked that same question. But we were live. Dr. Pepper was a sponsor, and we were teenagers. And he asked me, and I said we got it from a whiskey poster, and he almost passed out. Pulled the microphone away from me right away and changed the subject. But he teased me up until the day he died. He teased me about that.
Yeah, of course it was the 50s. So, but we love the name The Elegance. I mean, it's a beautiful name, so I'm glad that came together for you.
we try to live up to it every time.
Oh yeah.
The attire that we wear is always pretty special, and we're very conscious of our attire. We always want to look elegant.
Yes, we love your outfits. You do. You look elegant. Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So let's go back to your old hangout, the FDR Boardwalk in South Beach, Staten Island, where on any given summer night, you could find a few hundred teenagers, including Bobby Darin, Johnny Maestro, and you, doing some street corner harmony. Give us a typical evening of activities and reminisce a little about that time period in your life.
Good. Well, if you speak to 99% of the vocal groups out there, they'll tell you they sang on a street corner.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do that. We actually went to the boardwalk, which is maybe about a quarter mile from my house, We'd walk down to the to that area, and it was a summer resort for well, for I guess middle income and maybe even less
Mhm.
families. And there were bungalows, just all bungalows. And Bobby Darin came from the Bronx. His family had a bungalow there. Johnny Maestro's family had a bungalow in the neighboring town of Midland Beach, which was maybe 5 minutes away. But the boardwalk stretched all the way out from South Beach to Midland Beach. So we would walk. He would walk down and meet us down at the boardwalk, and many times I would go down there and meet him. We'd wind up talking all the way back to where everybody was congregating. And because of the summer bungalows and because of the boardwalk, the beach was similar to Coney Island at the time.
I
Actually,
see.
it faces Coney Island. It's right across.
Oh,
It's right
okay.
across the Narrows, what they call the Narrows, where the Verrazano Bridge is, and and we would all be up on that boardwalk. So we would have easy 150 to 200 kids at any given night on the boardwalk, and we all started emulating sounds and groups that we had seen, and it was definitely in its infancy. There were very, very, very few white artists. These were all pretty much the old stations, which were all hard to find down the end of the dials. You would find like Pat the Cat and all those jockeys, Jocko, jockeys in the very early days, Alan Freed,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we would listen to the music from that era, the nutmegs and the harp tones, and we would try to emulate those groups as best we could, especially the teenagers, because the teenagers were, they kicked the door open for the teens themselves.
Yes.
We realized at that point that you didn't have to be 25 or 30 years old to make a record. So that was an easy a given for us. We tried it, which is the Crestons, the first group I had. We had a young girl as a lead singer, so that she would sound like Frankie Lyman. And
Oh, okay. Yes.
so and I actually sang bass on that song on both of those sides. So the bottom line was that we would start harmonizing on the boardwalk, and we would do these things, and of course the girls would all be around, the guys would be clapping, the girls would be screaming, and that's all we needed was that catalyst.
Oh, sure. Of
Get
course.
that we got that attention from from the girls. So that was a tremendous incentive. But we loved what we were doing. We really enjoyed it. And as it turned out, years later, we knew what we wanted. Bobby was a little older than us. Bobby was about 3 or 4 years older than us, and he himself wanted to to also be a singer, but not with a vocal group. He wanted to be an individual singer. Johnny was with the Crests at the time, or formed the Crests,
Hmm.
and
Yes.
so we were doing things like that. We talked about possibly having a record at that time. It was before the recordings, so we had all said we wanted to make a record, never knowing that years later, all in 1958, or right at the latter part of '58 too. Little Star would be number one. Splish Splash would be number three, I believe, and then 16 Candles came in around number nine, I think, if that's what it was. I mean, that was like an unbelievable coincidence. But we were so happy and proud of each other, and we actually toured quite a bit. I toured with Bobby quite often. I just came across a piece of paper, with the virus. Everybody's quarantined. We're staying in the house. Everybody's doing anything, cleaning the rooms and doing that. I
Yes.
found a piece of paper that actually was a telegram that I sent to Bobby, and I wrote it on a piece of paper so that I can dictate it over the phone to the Western Union. And it was I was asking him to pick up a pair of pants that I had forgotten on the bus, from the tour, you
Oh,
know, because he had continued. We had split up in three different segments of that first tour, and unfortunately, Buddy Holly, and Dion went to the Midwest with that tour. Myself and Bobby Freeman, and a couple others, and the Olympics with Western Movies. Um, we all went to California, and Bobby went down south with a couple of acts. But Buddy unfortunately went to,
yes. Unfortunately, yes.
yeah. I just did about a year ago or so. We did the reunion for actually for Buddy Holly, and we did they had asked us to do it because we had been on that tour prior. They asked us if we would do it. What an unbelievable feeling that was, and then we went to the crash site, and
Oh,
you know,
I see.
we took some photos and whatnot. But it's a shame. We were together for, oh God, for about 45 days. We ate, slept, and and traveled together. So it was a horrible loss.
It was. It certainly was.
Yeah.
Well, such interesting history. We learned about the bungalows, how
Yeah.
the teenagers kicked open the door for you guys, and here you are today. It's we love the history. It was,
I would have never believed it. If somebody told me 62 years later,
I know.
I'm booking dates now for 2022. I mean, it's I'm going to be 80 years old in March, and I mean, you're talking about 82 years old. We're still working by
Yeah.
that time. And Jimmy's
Well,
older than me. Jimmy's 80. Jimmy's 83 now. So we were teasing him about being 85 in 2022 when we do a few jobs. We've got quite a few things happening in that year.
well, you're doing what you love, and it just keeps you going, and just keep doing what you're doing.
It makes you feel young. That's what it is. I
Makes
really
you
don't
feel-
believe.
Yes.
I just bought a pair of red sneakers and emerald green sneakers yesterday. So I mean, I don't remember my grandfather at 80 years old buying red sneakers, but
No, we don't know too many grandfathers that wear red sneakers. No.
right. Like I said, you feel like you're 25, and as long as that feeling is there, I'm ready to keep going. And as long as there's people in the audience that want to hear it, I'm willing to do it.
Do it, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, you had mentioned the Crescents, and they had a couple of really good songs that we like, My
Yeah.
Tears and Darling Come Back.
Right.
Now,
Right.
is it true that the records are a collector's item, they're hard to find, and do you have any original copies?
I have one, and I was unfortunate not too long ago because the one person I knew that had a whole box of the DJ copies. It got caught in Sandy when we had the Hurricane Sandy.
Oh,
Staten Island got hit the hardest. I mean,
Yeah.
we lost about 22 people, and it was devastating.
yeah.
But that particular person who was connected to the group, in the background, he was actually was our lawyer.
Oh,
The whole box of records was destroyed. But it is really rare. I was shocked. I found out that one of the records, I think at one point when somebody was talking $3,500. I mean, I don't know how true. I don't know how true that is, but but I do have one copy left.
all
and
right.
yeah.
Well, it was a tragedy, the loss of the other records, but at least
Oh,
there's that one original copy out there with you.
oh, no.
Yeah. So your biggest hit, Little Star, which you co-wrote and received the Millionaires Award, has been immortalized in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, featured in numerous movies and the Sopranos HBO series. You even had a cameo appearance in the movie Goodfellas. So give us some background on the song's history, when and where it was written, for whom, and how did you get the cameo appearance in the movie?
Well, we in the Hall of Fame, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland,
Mhm.
unless they took it down recently, there's a wing there, a doo-wop wing, and we're posted on in that particular wing. And there's a button which you press the button and it has a quote, and the quote is similar to how did you get to do it? How did you write Little Star?
Mhm.
And in fact, what it says is exactly what I'm going to say now. We were rehearsing, and we were trying to do different sounds, find some
Yes.
unique way to be different than the other acts, the other groups. And it started to get late. It was getting close to about 12 o'clock, and we were starting to get silly. We were getting tired, and we started pooping around. And we started with Mary Had a Little Lamb and Humpty Dumpty and Little Jack Horner. And then we went into Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And all of a sudden, Audie and I looked at each other and said, you know what? I said, it's late. Why don't we go home? Tomorrow, meet me, come to my house, and maybe we'll put something together. And that's what we did. He came to my house the next day. In 20 minutes, we wrote Little Star, at least the phrasing and the words. And then I put all the ad libs in it. And then we went to the rehearsal that night with the rest of the guys. We taught them the song. We had to add a background to it. And the Heartbeats, who had 1,000 Miles Away and many, many songs, were my favorite all-time group. All of us. It was our favorite group. So we took the Rat-Tat-Tats from 1,000 Miles Away, and we used that in the background of Little Star. And then eventually, when we auditioned, the first place we went to audition was Hull Records, which was where the Heartbeats were.
Ah.
And they loved the song. They kept us there. And Shep, who was the lead singer of the Heartbeats and then became Shep in the Limelights, he picked up two of the videos, the videos that had Trickle Trickle, and they put together that package, and then they went out with Daddy's Home. So Shep became my mentor, and he would be working with me, and give me some good tips. And I was in seventh heaven. I mean, I was in paradise. And then the record was released. Unfortunately, well, fortunately, I should say, the owners thought that the record was more than they could handle financially, distribution and everything. So they sublet us to ABC Paramount. ABC Paramount put us out on a new subsidiary label called Apt Records. And the record shot to #1 in no time at all. It did 80,000 copies in New York City alone,
New York City.
in the first week.
Oh.
And then it became the biggest selling record in the history of the Hawaiian Islands.
Oh.
When we landed in Hawaii, they had all the schools shut down. All the kids were on the tarmac because there was no chute at the time. You had to come down the stairs, you were on the tarmac, just like the Beatles. I mean, there were hundreds and hundreds of kids all over waiting for us. And years later, I have a booking agency that I've had on Broadway for 27 years. I wound up booking the association. And the lead singer of the association told me that he was Hawaiian. He was from Hawaii. He said that when we went to Hawaii, his school was closed and he was at the airport and he saw the congregation of people and screaming and yelling. And he knew right at that moment he wanted to be a singer. So he thanked me. He said, "Thank you so much." I said, "Wow." You hear these little things like that. You don't know really how far-reaching Little Star actually was and what it did for people and, and how it's helped other people. But it's always inspiring to me to hear those things.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it was good at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You guys were having fun late at night, and Twinkle Twinkle Little Star came up, and the next day you guys got together. 20 minutes. That's really interesting history, and the far-reaching effects of Little Star, like you said, And so,
I got a piece of trivia. I mean, not many people know this. I found out when friends of mine who were Trekkies, big Star Trek fans, they used to go to the conventions, and John Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek,
yes.
he made the statement on a couple of his conventions that he was writing for TV series. He was writing for Have Gun Will Travel and Wagon Train, and he heard Little Star. And when he heard me say, "Where are you, Little Star?" it was the inspiration for him to create Star Trek.
Star Trek. Oh, well, that is good. That is good history. Cool story. Yes. So, Vito, is there a song you turned down and another group picked up and made successful? Or is there a song that someone else turned down, you recorded it, and it became successful? Or did you just write your own music?
We wrote all our own stuff
Okay.
up until a certain point, and then we signed with United Artists for a while. With Don Costa was our arranger, so he wanted a little more. He wanted a crossover, some crossover tunes. We did "Speak Low," which was the theme from One Touch of Venus with Ava Gardner and Robert Walker. And we did "Because They're Young," which was with Dick Clark, and that was on United Artists, but they gave the instrumental version to my friend Dwayne Eddy. He wound up doing the instrumental version, and they didn't use ours. And Don Costa had asked me to do a song for a movie that was coming out starring Kirk Douglas. But the thing was that I had to leave the group. I had to do it as an individual artist. I had refused to do that. I didn't want to do that. And the song wound up being recorded by Gene Pitney. It was "Town Without Pity."
Yes.
So that was the biggest one. I was sorry I turned down. But
yeah, we did hear that story that's what happened, that Gene Pitney got it.
Yeah,
but nevertheless, you've had a successful career. So.
Oh yeah, I have no complaints. I really don't. Yeah.
So you already mentioned the Heartbeats. Are there any other groups that were influential in your career growing up?
Well, definitely the teenagers. I mean, as I mentioned, I mean, if it wasn't for them, we probably would have never got the idea that we could take it further than singing on
Right.
the boardwalk, for fun. Um, but there were quite a few. I mean, my collection is pretty eclectic. I mean, I've got everything here from, from Andrea Bocelli to Louis Prima, to
Oh, yes.
to any. I've got opera up here. I got, I mean, just about every genre of music I have. I'm a big fan of music. Period. I don't like it abused. I don't like, there's a lot of things. Even rap music. I mean, there's a lot of good in it, but I don't like some of the lyrics. I don't like some of the direction that they go in, and but it is there. I'm a Stones fan. I like the Rolling Stones. I mean, the Rascals were big. I was a big Rascal fan in the '60s, and not only became very close friends with Gene Cornish and the guys, but I I literally touched on everything. I actually took a lot from everybody too. I took a little of this, a little of that, and it's like putting everything in a blender. And when it comes out, it's yours. You made it. You
Yeah.
created it.
Well, that's a good illustration. I like that. Yeah, to have all that different
Yeah.
influence from all types of music, and
Yeah.
it's good to have that
There was a
wide range of interests.
there was an album I bought. Matter of fact, was Johnny Mathis, "The Best of Broadway," and he did a
Oh,
song called Everything's Coming Up Roses," and he did it. He did a little hook on that song with his voice, which was incredible. I mean, he dropped from one octave to the next octave, and he just meandered right into the tag of that song. That was added to the song. And one of the songs that was given to me was a song from Moulin Rouge from the movie,
oh yes.
and I wound up doing that song. I did it as a solo artist, but I used my cousin's group. He had a group called the Expressions, and I used his group as the backup singers for that. And
Hmm.
I wrote a tag to that song, to get it out. And I needed something to get me from the end of the song to the beginning of the tag so that I could, finish the song. And I remembered that particular hook. And I worked on that thing for about 2 weeks solid. I just kept singing it over and over and over until I was able to train my voice to hit the octaves. And I
Oh,
used it in that song. So
oh,
yes, I do a little pilfering every once in a while.
sure. Well, Johnny Mathis, I mean, a good influence on anyone, right?
Oh man,
Yeah. Yes.
one of the greatest.
The greatest, yes. You mentioned Hall Records, but how did you feel on the day when Hall Records gave you a record deal?
Oh God, we were at cloud nine. At that time you auditioned live. You knocked on a
Yes.
door,
Uh-huh.
and if somebody was there to listen, they listened. If nobody was there, you went to the next door. Most of these record companies were in the same 2 or 3 buildings in New York:
Yeah.
1650 Broadway, 1619 Broadway, the Brill Building.
Yes.
Everybody was in those 3 buildings. Eventually, my office, the one I told you with Headline Talent, which was my agency, was on Broadway. I was in 1650 Broadway, which to me was like the heart of the industry.
Hmm.
And so, 30 years later, that's where I wound up anyway. But I did knock on the door. We did walk in there. The woman that owned it was a woman by the name of B. Caslin. And her and her husband, sat down. They listened to what we had. She loved the novelty of it. She did make one change to it, which was a major change. We ended it with there you are, little star.
Yes.
She added, where are you, little star, or vice versa. I forget which one it was, but she made that little addition to it, and then she told us to bring the contracts home, take a look at them, have our lawyers look at them. We were only 16, 17 years old, so they asked our lawyers to take a look, our parents to take a look at it,
Sure.
and each one of us came from a single person family. I mean, parent.
Hmm.
My father passed away. He was 30 years old of a kidney disorder, and the other fellows all had, just mothers raised us.
I see.
So except for Jimmy, who had both parents, and these people, they didn't know anything legal, nothing illegal. They didn't know what to do, and to have their 16-year-old son go traveling around was not something they wanted to do. But we pushed and shoved and begged and pleaded, and they did take it to an attorney. The attorneys took a look at it, and they cut a couple of things out and changed some things, and we brought it back. And next thing I know, when everything was accepted, man, and we were flying. We literally were singing on Broadway. We walked right down the street, going to the train station, to the subway station. We were singing on the street. That's how happy we were.
Oh yeah, yeah. That I like that picture.
Oh yeah.
Singing down Broadway. That's good. And
Oh yeah.
I'm glad you had the lawyers there that looked
Oh.
over everything, and that put your parents at ease. Then
No,
So
absolutely. And the lawyers happen to be, the lawyers happen to be two lawyers that grew up with my mother and father.
Oh,
Anyway,
good.
so we felt a lot more,
Sure.
safe with that.
Security there, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So Vito, give us a piece of trivia that no one knows about you or the Elegance that you'd like to share with our VCB audience today.
Trivia.
Some,
Oh my God.
some sort of story, funny, serious, it doesn't matter. Just a little story.
All right, I might have to change a couple of the names to protect the innocent, but
Oh, okay. Okay.
no, we were on the road at this particular tour. We were out there for 30 days, and one of the fellows was told that there's a young lady that wanted to see him in her cabin in her room, in a hotel room, and he said, "Me, she singled you out." I said, "Yeah, she I guess she wants to have a drink or something, So we actually dressed up Frankie Avalon, like a young girl, and we put him underneath the sheets, and Dion and myself and Bobby Darin were hiding in the closet, and and he walked in and he surprised them, and obviously, when he jumped up and and realized it was not a young lady and it was Frankie, it was just it just became a hilarious situation.
Definitely hilarious.
Oh, we still tease him about it,
Oh, sure. And you
but
guys
there was a lot of pranks.
you burst out of the closet, right? And
Yeah. But there was always pranks. That's what
pranks, yeah.
made it work for us. On the road, you're bored. You can only, we would do 30 days and 30 nights, 30 nights in 30 different states.
Oh,
So
wow.
you would pull into town with the bus. You would go straight to the theater. You would sound check. You would do your show. You would get in the bus, go back to the hotel, fall asleep. Next thing you know, you're driving back to the next town. Do the same thing over and it just there was like no time to do anything but work yourselves into a family with the other acts. So it and believe it or not, for the short span, when you look at the 62 years, that was just a very, very minute segment of our lives. Those friendships are as close today as they were 62 years ago. Dion has remained a real close friend. He recently, thank God for me being in his life, and almost knocked me out of my chair when he said that. But these things stayed in our hearts. These things were very important to us at the time. These were friends, and they remained friends for all these years. That amazes me.
Well, that's a very touching thing that you still have these close friendships all these years later, and we appreciate your hilarious story about the prank you guys pulled. Very good.
I should have eliminated all the names. I slipped there with one or two, but that's
I don't know. I don't think Rico can edit that out, but anyway.
I know. I'll get a phone call in the morning.
Okay, be ready.
Yeah.
So are there any new projects that you're working on in the near future that you can tell our followers out in BCV land?
Well, projects as far as singing, we're limited. I mean, we are definitely limited. I know that we can never, and I believe this. I don't think we can leave the genre that brought us here. So anything that we do would have to be related to the 50s. And, our act consists of all types of songs prior to the Beatles. That's the limitations we put on ourselves. Can't say there were some good things in the 60s, early 60s, that were still offshoots of the 50s acts, or the 50s songs. So we try to stay just pre-Beatles. There is nothing other than that. I've done other things on my own. I've tried other things. I have a cable TV show. I've had that for 32 years. I patterned it after American Bandstand. I have a live audience. They dance. I have an act that comes up that recorded it, and they lip sync to their hit so that everybody can, hear the original song. And then they do one or two a cappella songs. Then we sit down and we just discuss, some new things and old things and have some laughs, for the next remainder of the hour. So
Okay.
that I've been doing for a while. As you mentioned, Goodfellas, I did wind up with a cameo in Goodfellas. I just recently did one with Martin Scorsese again. We did The Irishman. I had another cameo role in there. Had 3 or 4 scenes, but cameo scenes. I was disappointed in a way because I had about 8 or 9, but they keep cutting, and I understand. And his movie was 3.5 hours, so if they didn't cut my scenes, we would still be watching the movie.
Oh.
But and then recently we talked about possibly being considered for a nomination for a Grammy for a well, I'm sure you want to get into that a little deeper in a little while. So I'll wait till you get into that.
And we'll have to talk later about your cable TV show. We'll have to learn more about that.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. I don't want to be jumping into your.
Oh, that's okay. Well, let's get into this part also. And of all your accomplishments, awards, accolades, are there any that stand out to you that you're most proud of? And as you mentioned, we've got word now that you're in the first round of consideration to be nominated for the Grammys for the documentary and soundtrack Street Light Harmonies. So there's no stopping you, is there? And let me show the video. It's what we have here, Street Light Harmonies. Can you see it okay?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That was
a good experience. I was a little actually I had a situation just around the time that was done. I had started experiencing some chest pains and breathing problems, and went to the doctor, and they went for the stress test, and before I knew it, I was in the operating room. I had 3 blocked arteries at 99% and 2 at 95.
Oh, wow.
I was seconds away from not being here today.
Oh, my goodness.
And they went through the surgery. We did an 8-hour surgery. They did what they had to do and got me up and around. And there was a long recuperating period, but for some reason I felt strong enough to get up and do what I had to do. And this was one of the things that I actually did. I mean, when you see this video, I look like I just got off the operating table.
Because you did, okay.
I was in rough day, but I really did. I I think 10 days after the surgery or something like that. So, but that was an experience, a beautiful experience, and I got to do it with, of course, with Charlie Thomas, which is an old friend of mine, and Lala Brooks, with the lead singer of the Crystals,
Yeah.
one of my favorite people. So it was really an excellent move, and Straight No Chaser, the a cappella group that sang all the songs, and we just filled in with them. They are so phenomenal. It's unbelievable.
Yes.
It was a good experience.
Yeah, they're younger guys, right? The straight.
Oh yeah. Well, they started in college, and then they continued, and they were much younger than we are. I mean, everybody's younger than we are at this point.
Yeah. Well, we're a little younger than you.
I think, like I said, the odds are against us. I mean, the people have to be younger than us, or God knows, or they don't remember that they're older than us. It's as far as the accolades or awards or anything like that. I mean, yeah, there's quite a few. I could name a whole bunch of things, and just, of course, the gold record was the pinnacle.
Oh, sure, pinnacle, yes.
Yeah, and then we received the Millionaires Award, as you had elaborated.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that means the song was played at least 1 million times on the radio. So I mean, that's an astronomical feat in itself, and that's probably 500,000 plays ago. So we're still climbing, and now it's streaming. I mean, I could see it just by the royalty checks. There's a tremendous increase, in the checks. So streaming is really giving us a new lifetime. And and then there were other things that we received. we were inducted in a couple of the whole, I was just recently inducted the East Coast Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for the Lifetime Achievement Award. And yeah, and and I received a couple of proclamations from the local borough president here in Staten Island. I have a day named Vito Picone and the Elegance, and one for Vito Picone. So things like that will just constantly it'll just keep jumping one step ahead of the last one that I had, and I'm thrilled to death. I'm just happy to be able to perform in front of people that appreciate what we did and what we still do.
And there's many people that are in that group, including us. So we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, when you guys walk out on stage like you've been doing for the last 60 plus years, what kind of emotions are you feeling when you look out in the audience, knowing that all these folks have come out to hear you perform?
No, there's nothing like that. I mean, it's like being plugged in.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in the dressing room. We have a ball backstage. Don't forget, we're now with all of the people that we grew up with in this business, and we work. Like I said, we work quite often, and most of the shows we do now are with 5 or 6 other acts. So when you've got 5 or 6 acts, now everybody is reminiscing about different things, or we have a lot of things in common, and the fun is backstage. And then all of a sudden, your name comes up, and you're in the wings. There's that moment of seriousness. It's not fear, and it's not anything other than just. I think it's just removing everything else from your mind for that split second.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they mention your name and you take that first foot onto that stage, and you see the people out there, and you see the mood and that they're in, they're living their lives over again,
Exactly.
and you have to contribute to that, because that'll make their memories even more, more greater. So we love doing it, and the response is always good. I mean, I can, you can cough on stage, and then they'll give you a standing ovation. They really are so happy to be there doing what we're doing.
Sure.
And the music becomes not secondary, but it does not become the primary reason that they're there. They're there to just enjoy their youth.
Yeah.
And this is what we give them. We give them those nice memories.
That's true. We have a friend that goes to the doo-wop concerts with us, and that's what he always tells the performers. You've made me feel like a teenager again.
That's it. That's
yeah.
Well, if you've done that, then you've accomplished it. You've done your job, and that's really what we want. And when you ask them to sing along, and they sing every word,
Yeah.
how great that feels. Then you could go back to that night when we were singing in the, goofing around with nursery rhymes, and you say, just that little bit of goofing around is now worldwide, and people know everything that we did that night. They're singing what we did that night. That's an incredible, thought, when you think about that.
Yes.
So.
Well, we appreciate you bringing back our memories and helping us reminisce. We appreciate that, Vito.
Thank you. Thank you.
So before you go, Vito, we have a parting gift for you and the Elegance. Unfortunately, we're not able to present it to you personally, but Rico sent you a copy to look at, and we hope you're pleased with it.
How could I not be? I love it. You did a great job, and the questions were unique in a sense. I mean, we do a lot of interviews, and usually you'll hear the same type of questions, but they were very interesting. You touched on things, and you gave me a little more rope, so I was able to elaborate on a little, some other things, which was a good thing, as long as I didn't hang myself with it,
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Oh, well, it was all good. And so directing this to the audience, it's a billboard comp cover that Rico designed for the Elegance. And we're going to post it on our screen so our viewers out in VCB land can see it also. So Rico, could you please do that? I'll read what it says. Special honorable mention. Little Star continues to shine on the career of the Elegance. The song that has been immortalized in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Thank you, Vito and the Elegance, in bringing to light Little Star.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
So, is
Well,
there anything else you'd like to share with our VCB audience before we close the interview?
well, like I said, you're doing such a great job. If you have another question, I'll be able to answer it. I will definitely answer it. Um, what I want to share is I want to say thank you to yourself and to Rico, because it's people like you that actually keep this thing going, because obviously who would know we're still around other than people that go to the concerts, and
Right.
we can't be doing concerts every day of the week all over the world. So you're reaching people that we would never be able to reach, and by doing so you're giving us you're extending our musical life. I want to thank you both personally.
And we definitely appreciate you taking the time to do this interview with us. And I hope you had as much fun as we did.
I did. I'm looking forward to well, we'll do another one. That's what I'd like to do. I mean,
Okay. Why
let's
not?
let's not wait for 62 more years, but
Yeah, we'll do
Yes,
part two. We'll do part two. On
part two.
there we go. Just like Hockey Talk Part 1, Part 2.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you again, Vito. It was a pleasure.
I want to extend an invitation to both of you. If you're in New York, make sure you give me a call, and we'll get together. We'll go to a nice Italian restaurant,
Oh,
and we'll
yeah.
have nice Italian food. And for
Yes.
your husband, I'll see if we have if they serve any kind of kibasi, you know, for diavolo or something, you know.
Oh,
How about
fortunately,
kibasi marinara? Would he like that?
he loves
I
Italian.
love Italian.
He loves Italian. Every time we went to New
Obviously,
York.
he married one.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
okay.
there's that.
Yeah.
Yes, every time we went to New York, we had to go to Little Italy.
There you go.
Famous
Yeah.
spot.
Yes.
We'll figure it out, but you just make a little note of that. You're welcome anytime.
Well, we appreciate it so much, Vito.
Hey, Vito,
Thank
if you
you.
want to send me a calzone or
By the time it gets you, it'll be petrified.
Okay, it was a pleasure, Vito.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, Rico.
Sure. It was our pleasure. Our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
As you can see, I'm back in the main VCB studio. Did you catch some things that maybe you didn't know about the Elegance? The funny story on how the Elegance name was picked. A perfect time to see that particular whiskey poster. The hiding in the closet prank. What a surprise. The dancing down Broadway after the record deal. They could have danced right into the Majestic Theater. And Vito's cameo appearances in the Irishman and Goodfellas movies. Sounds like Hollywood might be his next career. And how about the creator of Star Trek? When he heard Little Star, he said it was an inspiration for him to write the series. Beam me up, Vito. So interesting, funny, and informative. We just love to hear rock and roll trivia and stories, certainly about the Elegance. We encourage our VCB audience to visit the Elegance website, www.theelegance.net, or Vito Picone's Facebook page for more information. Also, any of you promoters out there that would like to book the Elegance for your next show or event, their contact information will be on our last slide. We hope that all of our subscribers and friends out there enjoyed this interview as much as we did with Vito Picone of the Elegance. Bookmark our YouTube channel, Vinyl City Broadcasting, so you don't miss any of our future interviews and shows. Rico, I got the urge to take the ferry to Staten Island. Why don't we catch the subway to Whitehall Terminal in Lower Manhattan, catch the ferry since it's only a 25-minute trip to Staten Island, and I think it's still fare free. It might be fun to visit Vito's old hangout, the FDR Boardwalk in South Beach. Maybe we'll catch a future wannabe elegance group singing some a cappella or street corner. We'd like to close the show by saying, Little Star continues to shine on the career of the elegance and all of us who grew up listening to it.
Well,